Greg, welcome. So
Thank you.
after a full week of wedding planning, we're going to wrap things up by talking about actually tying the knot. We've talked a lot about the reception. We've talked a lot about the pretty things, but we need to talk about actually doing this. So Greg,
Yeah.
you specialize in customized ceremonies, unique unions, LGBTQ plus marriages in any denomination. This workshop is going to give our guests tips to ensure that their ceremony is personal and unique. And I think that's something that everyone's looking for when it comes to their wedding day, Greg. So very helpful. And as the owner and an officiant at Spirit of Life Celebrations, you are the person that begins the wedding day celebration by uniting the couple getting married, and their guests watch as well as witnesses. What do you think is the most important role that an officiant plays in the couple's big day?
The legal marrying of the couple.
And what does
That
that
is the
look like?
biggest thing.
Because there is legal details that have to be
Yeah,
taken care of. So what does that look like?
that's right. So the couple can write their own ceremony if they want. They can say their own vows if they want. It, the only thing is there has to be a couple of very legal statements made by the officiant during the ceremony. Otherwise, the whole thing is null and void.
Okay. How many months in advance should a couple book their officiant if there's legalities involved?
Well, I guess it depends on what those legalities might be. However, but anybody should be booking. I would suggest when you know your date,
Yeah.
you book the officiant and your hall
So is there
or your reception site,
So yeah, because we talked about, the venues tends to be number one on most couples lists, so they can get that date in place. A lot of brides want to run out and get their dress, but we're talking that the officiant should be number two. And
Yeah.
I think that's very important because there's a lot of weddings that take place in the city and a limited number of officiants in our city.
Right.
And people still do have traditional weddings, but I think with COVID, more and more people are using officiants because churches have so many rules too, and you can't have an outdoor ceremony at a church in
Right.
most cases. So,
And if you don't have an officiant, then all you're having is a big party because it's not a legal ceremony anymore.
so Greg, is there a timeline for like if someone called you today, could you marry them tomorrow? Or is there certain paperwork that has to be filed, the marriage license has to be in place before you can marry a person?
Yeah, there's if somebody had a marriage license that is valid,
Yes.
because marriage licenses are valid for 3 months.
Okay.
And so if somebody came to me with a valid marriage license, they could be married later in the day if they choose to, if we could figure out what they want said, or it depends on how quick they want the ceremony and what they want the ceremony to entail, really.
Okay. And that marriage license process during the beginning of COVID, you couldn't get a marriage license. I know a lot of the
Right.
offices were closed, and I think it was like that whole shutdown period. It looked like maybe I had heard the town of Essex was still doing some marriage license, but Windsor was closed. That was for a number of months. So couples during that period, if they didn't have that marriage license in hand, they couldn't get married. And then there was many couples that had them in hand and wanted to postpone, so their marriage license was null and void after 3 months.
Correct. Yeah. And the marriage office in Windsor at City Hall is open. And as far as I know, the majority of them are open. They're just doing business differently.
Yeah.
So for example, at the City Hall in Windsor, they're doing everything online. So you send them all the paperwork, and then they make an appointment for you to come in, and you go in and you verify the paperwork at that point. So it's a quick process once you go in. Majority of everything is done online through email in advance.
Okay. That's perfect. I think we've covered a lot about the marriage license process. So does the couple, I do have one more question. Does the couple take care of getting the marriage license, or can you do that on their behalf?
They have to get it.
They have to get that themselves. And do you know
Right.
what the cost of a marriage license is?
In Windsor City Hall told me it's $125
Okay,
currently,
okay.
but I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
That
I
could,
think other jurisdictions
they all
have
have their
different
own price.
prices.
Yeah, I think, I believe you're right.
Yeah.
Um, what are the tasks that a couple has to take care of themselves and others that you as an officiant will take care of for them?
Um, well, I mean, if they want, like I had mentioned, if they want to write the ceremony, they can.
Yeah.
If they want me to write the ceremony, I can. You know, they can write their own vows. They can choose from probably close to 100 sets of vows that I have that I can show them that they can select from and or even modify if they choose to. So there's you know, a little bit of work that they can do if they choose to, or they can pretty much do none of it as long as I have some basic information. I can pretty much take care of everything for them so that they don't have to worry about the ceremony.
Okay, I'm just going to ask a question to our production person. Connor, can I admit people or are you caught up on the wheel? We have a lot of people in today.
Oh, yeah, I can.
Okay, we're going to admit people. You have to be on by 10 after to be part of the workshop prize. There's a lot of entries to be made today.
Oh
Greg,
gosh, there's still more
same-sex
coming in.
couple, yeah, they're still coming in.
Wow.
So same-sex couples uniting in marriage makes for an extremely special ceremony. Can you give some suggestions on how same-sex couples can include their special journey of love in their ceremony?
Sure. Yeah, they can express themselves in any way. As I mentioned, even some like to uh, do a bit of a story, and they like to tell their story so that they like to, or they like to have others come up during the ceremony. So in place of doing, some traditional weddings would have a reading or sometimes different music or hymns played, and instead sometimes couples choose to have either friends or family come up and tell some of their stories or explain some of their views, and just to give a little bit of background so that the guests understand what their path has been like.
We were invited to our first same-sex marriage, I think about 3 summers ago now. Jerry and Rob, they were an older couple, and they did just that. They kind of talked about their journey and what brought them together in the place in life. Being older gentlemen, they had quite a journey, so they talked about that. And the part that got me was they played the Hawaiian version of "Over the Rainbow" at the end of
Oh,
as
nice.
they were, yeah, signing the documents. And yeah, I was in tears.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. It was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony and really an honor to be invited to a same-sex couple's wedding for the first time. It was just beautiful for me.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
some location ideas you have for wedding ceremonies that you highly recommend, or like, can couples come to you and say, I want to get married in a forest. I want to get married. There's this creek that's close to our house, and we want to get married on the banks of it. Can couples marry anywhere, or do you have some suggestions on what really works?
They can get married anywhere.
Anywhere.
As
Okay.
long as the officiant's willing to go there, they can get married anywhere. You know, I don't do skydiving or anything like that. So like don't sign me up for that. You're not going to get married in mid flight or anything like that. But you know, yeah, you can get married anywhere, as long as the witnesses can hear their, you know, the legalities, the legal parts of the ceremony. As long as the witnesses can attest to having heard those, uh then yeah, you can be married anywhere.
Okay, that's awesome. And I think that's happening more and more once again with COVID, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How can you help a couple customize their ceremony so that it's a little more personable or personal and unique to them?
So we how I can help them with their writing of their vows.
Yeah.
There's different things that we can insert. There's different unity type of ceremonies that people like to do. Often the most familiar that people are with one that is, with candles, but they can be done different ways. I mean, there's ways to present, sometimes they like to honor the mothers, of each couple, of the couple. And so instead, we changed that unity ceremony into a rose giving ceremony, and we give
That's wonderful.
roses to their mothers or to other family members, or maybe we honor those that have already passed away that are still no longer with us, but still we want them to have that presence at our ceremony. So, either leaving a space for them to sit at, like an empty chair with their name on it, or acknowledging them during the ceremony. There's a whole bunch of different ways.
Yeah, and I've seen the uniting of the sand where each couple has sand and they put it into one. And I'm
Right.
thinking as we're talking about this, what if both couples are, or both the bride and groom, or bride and bride, or groom and groom are both from Italian backgrounds? Maybe they want to pour their pasta, their family
They
pasta.
can.
That's their favorite. And there's
Right.
so many unique ways you can
Oh
unite
yeah.
and
There's
symbols.
water, you can do different colors of water. You can do, and I've done it with families who are blending themselves
Yeah,
because they already have children. Excuse me. So they want to involve the children in that unity ceremony. So everybody has a different color of water, and we pour it all into one, or different colored pebbles, or different colored candies, or whatever,
yes,
or glitter or beads. Yeah. So
beautiful.
there's different ways you can really work things so that it involves everybody. And the nice thing is it's nice to involve your guests
Yeah.
if you can
And
as
things
well.
like butterfly releases and dove releases are all really nice touches too. And we do have an exhibitor that's been in our show for many, many years. They are up on our shop online directory. Love is in the air. I know dove releases are uh, very symbolic for a lot of people at a
Mhm.
ceremony.
Yeah.
Um, are there ways to get guests involved in the wedding ceremony that you might suggest to couples? So, is there any ways they can involve their actual guests in the wedding ceremony?
Yes. And the one of the neat ways is we can have all of the guests. Um, I like to have them actually participate in the ceremony at the beginning, really. So before the bride or the groom comes down the aisle for the first time, I like to involve, if the couple's willing, then I like to involve the guests. And so the guests are the ones that are actually going to participate in one of the legal parts of the ceremony of saying that everybody agrees that these two can be married. And so I do a little skit at the beginning to make sure we sort of get the audience revved up before the ceremony, and so that they know what their role is when we come to that part of the actual ceremony. Then they usually all hoot and holler and whoop it up for, and say that they do as well, that they are giving these couple to be married. So
And I think even for married couples that are in attendance, maybe an affirmation of the couples that are married in the audience and seal their marriage once again with a
right.
kiss is a nice thing to do. I
Absolutely.
also remember posting something online a number of years ago at Sprucewood Winery, where the seating of for the ceremony was the couple in the middle of a circle, and then if you can imagine this, it went like everyone went from the couple and then the circle went bigger and bigger and bigger, like a
Okay.
spiral
A
around.
spiral.
And
Yeah.
the seating arrangement was just beautiful. So there's
Oh
so
yeah.
many different ways you can involve your guests in imaginative
Absolutely.
ways. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
can you discuss the legality of a destination wedding? I know I have had couples say to me through this, you know what, we're just going to get away and elope and figure this out later. But there are some legalities when you do a destination wedding when it comes to marriage and coming back to Canada. What does that look like?
Wow, yeah. This is a big topic, and there are a lot of little nuances to be careful of. So here we go. All right. So the couple can elope and they can be married elsewhere. They are then legally married in that other country.
Yeah,
They are not considered married in Canada, and they will not get a Canadian marriage license. Okay.
yeah,
So, should anything happen, they need to contact that foreign country wherever they got married to get any further documents about their marriage. And should they ever have to divorce, or if there's any pension things that have to happen, or, like when applying for Canada pension, you've got to prove your marriage. or for income tax. Well, you have to get all those documents from the foreign country first before you can do that. Even if one of the couple wants to change their last name to match the other, same thing. You have to deal with that foreign country. So the recommendation is get married here first, then go have your destination wedding. Get married in the country in which you reside because it's easier.
So I don't know if you can ask this, but I do know someone that got married in Mexico.
Mhm.
They never sealed the deal here in Canada. The
Right.
marriage didn't last more than
Mhm.
very long. So that was it. There was nothing for them to take care of legally here in Canada when they did when they when they did split. Would they still be considered married in Mexico?
Yes.
So they should probably do you take care of that in some way?
Well, not only in Mexico, they're considered married
Okay.
still.
Oh,
In the eyes of the law, they're married.
okay.
So if they want an actual divorce,
Yes.
or if one of those two want to be remarried,
Yes.
they can't until they've contacted Mexico and actually gone through the divorce proceedings in Mexico. So what will happen is they likely will have to go down and probably spend about 3 weeks each in Mexico, do all the paperwork, get everything all set up, and they'll have to go at their own expense, hotel, vacation time, whatever, and actually get that taken care of and legal expenses in Mexico to actually have
I have
that
a feeling
separation
not
made.
a lot of people know that. So if
Right.
I'm gonna
So
ask you, so if they had gotten married in Canada as well, they wouldn't have to do the Mexican part. They could get divorced in Canada and then it's over.
right. Yeah, I mean, you're at home and the whole
Yeah.
divorce proceedings could take place. I mean, but at least you're at home. You're not going through the extra expense. You can still go to work. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, if they had taken care of that extra step of marrying here, then the Mexico marriage is no longer like really valid. They don't have to take care of that at divorce time.
Right, and it's
Okay.
symbol that would be what would be termed as a symbolic marriage in
Okay.
Mexico. If they were married here
Okay.
first, yeah, it's
That's
symbolic in Mexico.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay. That's really good information for
yeah,
couples to know if they're going down and doing a wedding somewhere in the islands, Mexico, anywhere, Italy, anywhere you
yeah,
go, right? You
yeah,
should take care of getting a marriage license and getting it done here in Canada as well. I
yeah.
have two more questions for you. Then I'm going to open the chat.
Okay.
I've opened the chat actually. Often in marriage, two cultures with very unique traditions are joined, and two people from different, maybe religious upbringings or very different cultural, ethnic backgrounds come together. This can sometimes lead to a more complicated planning with family members. How do you suggest intermingling cultural or religious traditions within a wedding ceremony when this is a concern?
Okay.
This is a tough
Whew.
one, and a
Yeah,
lot
this is a
of
big one.
couples, yeah, a lot of couples face this, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're hitting me with some pretty big ones today. Okay. So what happens in this particular case, one way you can handle it to do a multicultural type of wedding is you can allow one of the cultures to dominate for the ceremony itself, and you can have the other culture dominate for the reception. Now, that being said, some couples don't like to do that and they would rather blend everything. So that's okay. There are ways, like I said, we can rewrite the ceremonies. So there are ways that we can blend cultures and different uh, ceremonial type things that are done in different cultures so that everybody can be honored. Everybody's traditions can be honored. So we can work it that way. There's other ways that it's been done as well. So if you're doing it, if you want, you can have just a general ceremony, and then at the reception, you can have different foods that are served. You can provide different entertainment. Like I had one where they were able to afford to have two different bands, for example.
Mhm.
So because each band usually only plays sets for about 20 minutes, they took turns and played the different cultural music. Each band was specific to the culture of each family. So it was a nice way to blend things out. So yeah, you can do different foods. I mean, we can't do buffet type style now, However, I think if you talk to your reception center, they would be able to help you blend that.
And that was something I was going to suggest. If the blending of two families is very, very complicated, whether it be for religious reasons or cultural reasons, tap into your professionals, your venues. If you have a wedding planner, they're used to this. They see this all the time. They might be able to suggest things of blending and working through this that makes it a lot easier for both families and for the couple in particular. Okay,
Absolutely.
last question. We have the chat open, Connor. Once you have
Yeah.
married a couple, is there any other legal requirements a couple should take care of after their wedding day? So once they're married, is that it? Or is there anything that has to be taken care of?
Um, the only thing that I would suggest is to actually get the copy of their marriage certificate from the government.
Okay,
And that's done usually about 6 weeks after the wedding because it takes time for the registration. Although the officiant sends in the registration within 48 hours, it takes their office
yeah.
time to process.
And I
And
think
right
that's
now
even
it's even
longer
longer.
than, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have some questions. Tracy is asking if one partner was already married, does that individual have to show proof of divorce papers?
Not to the officiant, but you have to at a place like City Hall where you're going to go get the marriage license. They'll demand those types of paperwork.
Okay, perfect. How long is the average non-secular ceremony? And that's being asked by Celia.
Wow. Celia, it can be however long you really want it. Generally, just to sort of get things in and out, if you're kind of wanting to go real fast, it can be about 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay, so the
And
short,
if
on
you
the
need, I
short
can
end,
talk faster.
yeah. So on the short end, 15 to 20 minutes. And if they want to put some of those special touches in that we talked about, half an hour probably max is what I
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
suggest.
Half hour, 35, 40 minutes. If you really want to add in a lot of a couple of those unity things. Yeah.
Ideally, this is coming from Megan. Ideally, we would like to be married by a friend or family member. In Canada, can you have a friend take an online officiant course and legally marry us? How long is the officiant course? I think it's a little bit longer than quick.
Right. So if you had a friend marry you, um, they have to register with the government. And so the Ontario government puts out a registry and you can actually check it to make sure that your officiant is on the list. They publish this list. I think it's every month they put out a fresh list. And so your friend could marry you if the officiant is willing. However, the officiant would have to step in and say those legal phrases that need to be said because it's on the officiant's license that you're being married, not your friend, because your friend doesn't have the license, even though they might take one of these little online quickie courses. If they're not registered as a licensed officiant in the province, they cannot marry you.
Okay. I love this question. I have a bonus daughter. I love that terminology, Tiffany.
Yay!
Do you think it is important to include her in the ceremony, and how can that be done?
Yeah, sure. It it depends. I mean, some couples really want to include the children, and some couples don't. So, I mean, that's everybody's personal preference. Based on your question, sounds like you do. So, yeah, absolutely, we can involve her in a number of ways. She could, if you want to do the unity thing, we can. You could even give her a rose, welcoming her to your family as
Nice.
you blend together. So you could do something very special for her, or it doesn't have to be a rose, it could be something else. It could be a little piece of jewelry, maybe a necklace, or something of that way. Or we can do a unity type ceremony welcoming her to the family. Yeah.
Hunter is asking, in regards to witnesses during the current lockdown, if we were planning on eloping and having a celebration later, do witnesses still have to be present or online virtually?
um
So
no.
they have to be in person, correct? They can't be virtually, I think is what the question
Right,
is.
there are no virtual weddings cannot be done virtually. Funerals, yes. Weddings, no.
Okay.
It's the strangest thing, but yeah.
Joshua is asking if an officiant can make it a Catholic ceremony. You talked
Can
about
any
all denominations.
Right.
So can any officiant do a Catholic ceremony?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Could you?
No.
No. So any other?
Well, I'm personally, I'm not Catholic. So, um, could I go through all of the motions? Probably. Would it be official? No.
Okay. So you could make it, you could do the actual almost ceremony that a Catholic priest would, but it wouldn't be validated as a Catholic marriage.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
No. I
Yeah.
mean, I could be very wrong on this, you know,
I think you're very right on that.
but I don't think
Yeah.
so.
No.
I think you have to be ordained in the Catholic faith, and I'm not.
Okay. Kelly's asking, is there a certain vow that has stayed with you over the years? Can you give us some details that you remember?
Oh, wow. Most of them are pretty, they often are kind of generic. And then they sometimes embellish the generic ones a little bit. There's just been some really nice ones where they just, they're just coming from the heart. Like some folks are really able to just say it without thinking about it. Like not I shouldn't say without thinking about it, but without memorizing it.
Yeah.
It just flows for them. And others, they want it written down in front of them and to have it. I've heard a lot of beautiful ones, but
I
I
think
can't
vows
say that I
are
could
such a
recite
personal,
one off
yeah.
the top of my head. No.
And I think when you do have an officiant, vows becomes very personal for a lot of people, right? So,
Yeah.
okay,
And some don't want them shared with the other that's getting married. So sometimes one part of the couple will send me the vows and say, okay, keep these secret. Don't tell on the other one, so I got to keep it secret from the other one, and then the other one sends theirs. And so it's a when we do the showing of, sort of the little go through of the whole ceremony, I've got to make sure I block those out so that the other doesn't get to see the other's vows. So
okay, so I'm going to run through the next questions really quick because we have some business to take care of, some big prizes to draw
we
for,
do.
and yeah, we
Right,
do.
we
This
do.
is
Right,
it.
right.
So that KitchenAid mixer is a big hot item, our grand prize. So I'm just going to run through a few more quickly, and any that we don't get to, then we will certainly answer them online. So watch our Facebook page and I'll send these questions to Greg and then we'll put the answers up online. I just want to relay that Tiffany said this is a beautiful idea. She was the one that asked about her bonus daughter. And she said that you got her teary-eyed. So thank you for that idea.
Good. Oh, great.
So you mentioned that you couldn't get married outside at a church. And what I'm saying is a lot of churches just aren't open right now. So I don't want to speak on behalf of your church. But Tracy is asking if you do get married outside of your church, could a minister go anywhere else? I think that's a question you really have to ask your minister or priest. I know there are priests that go out and will marry people in other places. Once again, the Catholic Church, because I do have a Catholic background, I'll answer that. Catholic Church, you have to be married in the Catholic Church. They don't.
And they're not
they
going to
don't
allow someone
Yeah.
like me to come onto the grounds and marry you in place, or like out in the parking lot or something. Like, they're not going to allow that. That's on their property. But on private on private property for the church. So I can't, I certainly wouldn't do that. But if somebody had a private.
This is a really good one. Do officiants join and stay for the reception? Is that mandatory that you invite the officiant or priest, or is that very often?
No.
No.
If you want me to hang around, okay, just let me know. More than happy.
I think because normally couples don't have a close relationship with the officiant, they come and go. I think if you've gone to a church and the priest knows you, then often the priest or minister might be invited to the reception. But in the case of officiants where you don't have a personal relationship with the person that's marrying you, then that's not standard to invite them to the wedding.
Couples that work with me, they tend to develop a bit of a personal relationship with me before the ceremony. But anyways, yeah.
So someone has a bonus boy or a bonus son they're taking in. Do you have any suggestions for what you might give a boy?
Oh boy.
Come on, figurine.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, same thing. You could always give like a necklace, like a gold chain or something, or like a gold bracelet type of thing, or even a ring of some sort. I mean, it doesn't have to be super expensive, but yeah. And I'm sure I'll think of 14 other things after this is over.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more, and then everything else, we'll copy this chat. And we promise we'll get these answers up. So watch our Facebook page. Does the religion that couples are getting married under have to be specified when doing the ceremony or paperwork?
No.
No. I am going to ask one more because this is a good
Okay.
one. Can officiants from the U.S. marry Canadian couples?
No.
No. Okay. Those are quick answers, and I love that.
Those were the fastest ones I answered for you.
Uh,
Sorry, but yeah, no.
okay, we're going to put
And
a
not on I should
yeah,
let me just qualify the last one. Not unless they have a Canadian license.
yeah.
Unless they're licensed with the government of Canada, then they can.
Okay, so we're going to put Greg's contact information up right now. This is a little different than what we've done in the past. So for anyone that wants to take a snap with your phone or screen save, we will also be sending this to you by email after.